Assalamu alaikum. I am the Chocolate Chick. This is my second episode. And what I want to attempt to talk about tonight is who it is that we should be following, who it is that we should turn ourselves over to. What law, what way of life should we turn ourselves over to that will be good for not only ourselves, for our community and other communities around the world? So I bring this up because, of course, every society has laws. You have to have some way of having parameters around a community so that everybody within that community knows I can go but so far before I start to break the law. Now, I agree that this is something that's natural to do and should be done. But we also know as human beings that there are some laws and there are some things that are put on us that are unnatural. All we have to do is look back in our history right here in the United States of America and see that we had laws in this country that at one time didn't permit women to vote, for example, or laws that didn't allow black people to even be free. Black people were enslaved in this country, right? People from African descent, African peoples were enslaved in this country, and Native Americans were as well. And believe it or not, even some of the white brothers and sisters, the Irish, when they came to this country, they were enslaved and put in indentured servitude. So were these laws good? Were these laws right or righteous? Of course, looking back now, we can see that these laws were absurd. These were laws that were put on human beings so that people at the top, rich people at the top, the oligarchs, the capitalists, whatever term you want to give them, that these people used free human labor by taking away the rights of other human beings. They were able to use that free labor to build out their societies. One of the reasons why I live in one of the richest countries in the world, and some people say may even be the richest country that has ever been, or the most powerful country that has ever been. And again, God knows the best about that. But of course, these people beat their chests and brag about it. If that is the case, then they did that off of the backs of black people, African peoples who were enslaved and brought here to the Western Hemisphere, who were particularly brought here to North America. And they were enslaved. And these people built out this country with their blood, their sweat, and their tears. All of the crops, what do they call it? King cane or queen cane, king cotton. You can go on down the line, rice. All of these were things that were used, or these are crops that were built out by African Americans or Black Americans. And we were exploited by the rich. And these people were able to take that money and build out one of the most powerful countries that have existed on the planet Earth. And trust and believe, if you do your studies, if you look back in history, you'll see that this is the only way that the United States of America got as powerful as it was, is by riding on the backs of the black man. That's a fact. Now, was that right? Was that correct? At that time, the law said that it was. That, yeah, you could take these Negroes and chain them up and treat them almost any way you want to get the product, to get the produce from them. Now, we look back at that now and say that was absurd, that was crazy. The way that black people were treated. All you have to do is look at what was going on these plantations, and you'll see how sickening that lifestyle was. So now, who do we turn to say that we know that men are fallible, that men are greedy, men have all types of moral lapses, and that they will do the most atrocious things to put themselves in a better position, right? They will stomp on their brother, steal from their mothers to get in a better position in life. So what guides us? What should hold us in? Of course, that's going to have to be laws or some type of system of morality that comes from the great divines, right? Those people who said that, hey, wait a minute, that I'm being talked to by a higher power. And this higher power is telling me that this thing that we're engaged in, or these things that we're engaged in, are not good for us, that there's a better way, that there are things that are actually out here that are better for us, that there's right guidance, right? There is a right and there is a wrong. So for me, I believe that there is a God. Now, I know some people can't go with the God thing, like, oh my God, here we go again. They believe in some guy that lives in the sky, right? A sky god, right? Or sky man, or whatever. I hear the materialists and the atheists and some of the Gnostics, how they tease believing people, right? And I always found that very interesting, because just like we're asked to prove God by the materialists, we can turn that question right back around and ask them to disprove God. And they can't disprove God, nor can we prove God, right? So understanding what God is understanding what experience is in life. It's life experiences that turn us on to our understanding of God, right? And when I speak about God, let me make this clear too. When you hear this old guy talk about God, I'm not talking about some man in the sky. I'm not talking about Jesus the Christ. I'm not talking about Muhammad. I'm not talking about the Buddha or any other creation or any other human being. I'm not speaking about anything that's anthropomorphic. I'm speaking about the idea that there is a creator that created the heavens and the earth and everything in it, the universe or the universes, however it is that you understand creation. I'm talking about the creator of that there was a cause that made everything else come to be. Now, you could place any name on it you want to place on it, but for me, it's Allah, right? So when I talk about the creator, when I speak about God, I'm speaking about the creator God, the God that put all of this in motion. Now, if you believe that, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. But I do. And I believe that this creator would not create creation and not give creation some type of way to understand how to live in it. So if we have a creator or creator God, then this God is going to give the human being internal and external ways to understand that we should live a certain way for our own benefit. Why would a God create creation for it to just immediately destroy itself without this creation having some type of evolution, evolving itself out to some type of potentiality, right? And when we experience people, right? Those of us who experienced, right? We don't have to always try to debate materialists and other people tit for tat about barometers of measurement, because we have our own experiences. And our own experiences tell us that when we look at the world, that this world, like everything else that's created, just doesn't come to be. That something placed it here. Something made it be so that it could be here, so that we could see it, we could touch it, we could taste it, we could smell it, or that we can measure it in some real way. So the same way that I would look at anything else, all the things right here inside of my home, and I know how these things got created. I know they are creations of the hands of men. When I look at the animal kingdom, when I look at the mountains, when I look at the human being and everything else that's out here, then I understand too that there's something that created it. I don't see where that's so difficult to understand. And I believe that this creator is obviously an intelligent thing. It has to be intelligent for us to be where we are and for creation to be where it is. All right. So that's lived. I've lived long enough now, and have become old enough to understand a creator God. So when I speak about God, and you ever hear me on this channel talk about God, that's the God I'm talking about. I'm talking about the God that created the heavens the earth, and everything between it. Okay, so let's be clear. Now, outside of this creator, we also have those great men who were sent here by the creator, or these men who some way, somehow, and you could believe it any way you want to believe it, but they were attuned. These people were like Olympians in the area of spirituality. They were more attuned than most of us. And they were able to zone in. They were able to come to a vibration with this creator God, with Allah, who I call Allah. All right? So these persons, they're the ones that when we look at their lives, again, experience, when you have certain experience and you see how other human beings act, then you could look at another group of human beings and see that, hey, these people are a little different from those people. They're not the same. That these people live a lifestyle that is so moral, it supersedes the average guy. And we look to these people who are like Olympians in spirituality, right? The same way that we look at people who run very fast, right? Usain Bolt, or Usain Bolt, however you pronounce the young brother's name, right? And you see that speed off that brother, you go, good God Almighty, I could never run that fast, no matter what I did, no matter what type practice I did, I couldn't do it, right? He's a special human being. Or if you look at Serena Williams in the tennis game, and you say to yourself, oh my God, I could never be that good. No matter what I did, I couldn't be that good. Or you look at a myriad of people in the science world, in the sports world, or any other world where you see this type of human perfection. We have to understand that likewise you have this in the spiritual world. These Olympians, the people that we call the prophets, like our Prophet Muhammad in Islam, or Jesus Christ in Christianity, or the Buddha in Buddhism, and you can go right on down the line about the lives of these people. And these people show us that they are our spiritual masters. They are the creme de la creme when it comes to human spirituality. So we look at them. We say, okay, these are the best in the spiritual world. These are the best that the human race has. So let's emulate them, let's study them, and let's see what we can extract from them to better our own lives. Right? Let's make common sense. And again, once you get older and experienced, your experience will tell you that these people were good people, regardless of people saying, well, they didn't even exist. Oh, these people didn't even exist. These are folks that were created by other men, right? These are figments of other men's imaginations and wantings and leanings, and people who want the world to look a certain way. They created these things out of their own minds and out of their own hearts. Okay, say that they're right. Let's just say that they're right. Okay, then fine. Now we have characters that had come out the minds and the hearts of whom? Other beautiful souls, to give us a way to be guided. Now, of course, I don't believe it. I believe that there was a Prophet Muhammad. I believe that there was a Jesus Christ. I believe that there was a Buddha. Do I believe that they are exactly the way that people have pinned them to be today? No, I don't. I do not. Right? I know that there's some horrible stories, some atrocious histories of our Prophet Muhammad, on him be peace. I know that there's no way that some of the things that people put on the man are real, good or bad. And I know that there's some things that were put on Jesus Christ, right? Him being lifted to the status of godhood and some other things. And we know that that's very problematic, right? And the Buddha, etc. So we're not saying that our understanding today, or some people's understanding today, is absolutely pristine about these men. All we're saying is that clearly these individuals were divine, because even today, thousands of years later, we call their names. Prophet Muhammad, on him be peace, lived about 15,000 years ago. 1,500 years ago. Jesus, over 2,000 years now. The Buddha, longer than that. Krishna, going down the line. So we know that these individuals lived a long, long time ago, and here we are today. We can access them. And the only reason why we can access them is because of the believers in them who saw great value in their teachings. So when we look to law, what law should we actually be looking at? So I say that regardless of what land you live in and what it is that the laws are of that land, always understand that there's a greater law, that there is the law of God. There is the law of Allah. There is the law of those people who came with the message of Allah. You can call God whatever you want, and you can call the great divines by whatever name you choose. But everything boils down to this verse that I think is a beautiful verse that comes out of the Bible. It's put in the mouth of the prophet Jesus, on him be peace. And it says, and it's close, okay. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That this is the law. This is a summation of the law, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Because this is the summation of the law and the teachings of the prophets. Lord have mercy. I think that's beautiful. I think that's it. That summarizes it. No matter what your law says in your society, or how it is that laws are constructed by men who are greedy, who are devious, these immoral men that steal people's properties, these immoral men that will enslave another ethnic group, these immoral men that will do the most heinous things, drop bombs on communities of people who have no way of defending themselves, and see it as righteous and see it as a good thing. Bombs that kill hundreds of thousands of people. That these laws are not divine laws. That these are the laws that are put in motion by heinous, immoral men. So when we go back to the divine teaching of do unto others as you would have them do unto you, that's a good law. That's a very good law. And I'll bet my bottom dollar that that's a law that came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it was something extracted by Jesus the Christ as well as Muhammad the prophet, and you can go on down the line with all the other great divines who had said similar things. All right. What hurts me hurts you. And what I love, you'll love. That the human race is one thing, it's one organism. That the human race is one family, we're one people. All of us have one set of parents, a male and a female. And from that one set of parents, all of us have come. So at the end of the day, on this planet Earth, we're all brothers and sisters. We're all related. Whether we like it or not, that's the case. So, I'm saying tonight in my second episode that before we can do anything or before we can become anything, we have to consider what law we're going to follow. To be a mature, standing adult, what law must we follow to mature our lives out and become a working part of a society where we can bump and grind off of each other, live and let live, and also evolve out our species to something getting close to a human perfection, right? I believe that that cannot be done unless we turn ourselves over to something that is divine, a divine law, a divine way of understanding things. And the way that you get to the divine, the way that you reach and you touch that divine is that you have to go through somebody. Somebody has to point the way. You have to look, study, emulate those persons who came with these messages, who said, look, this comes from God, right? This comes from Allah. Don't be so eager to push back if you're not a believer. Just open up your ears and understand that at the end of the day, all these people are saying is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That this is the summation of the law. And these are the teachings of the prophets. That's all they're saying. All right. Nobody want to rob you of anything. Nobody want to take you from anything. Nobody want to take away your science or do anything that would hurt or harm you in any way because they believe a certain way. And if they do, then that means that they're not true believers. A true believer understands that at the end of the day, all this belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All this belongs to God. Glory be to him. All of this. Right? We have control of nothing. The human being has control of nothing. The vast majority of us can't even control ourselves. You can't even control the person between these two shoulders. So certainly, we don't have any real control over the world, right? We do our best to understand it, and we affect it, or we make moves in it the best we can, and we are touch a life here and touch a life there. That's basically all we can do. And anytime anybody think they can do more and they get too big for their britches, then there'll be something in this universe that will shut them down. Trust and believe. It'll just be a matter of time. And that society, that people, that person will get shut down, like all the great tyrants and mischief makers that you can read in any history book. Okay? So this episode, I want people to think about who it is that we should be following. Who do you look at for your lead? Who's your leader? Who do you trust enough with your life, the life of your wife, the life of your children, to say that, hey, this person I can follow. And if I follow this, I know that nothing can come from this but something constructive. There's no way anything destructive can come from this. All right? So I think that should be the mission of all moral men. So with this, I'll again sign off. But before I do, please like and subscribe if you think anything that we said tonight gives you any value. And Allah willing, we're going to try to grow this channel out. This is not a channel just for Muslims. This is a channel for anybody that want to listen on, man, woman, or child. All we're trying to do here is allow people to hear a man who's getting up now in age, who's lived his life, who's raised up a family, who's still married to his wife for 32 years, raised up 5 children into being adults, finally got my first grandchild, and who has something to contribute back to society outside of some buffoonery and clownishness and foolishness. Okay? So this is what this channel is about. If you have any questions or there are any topics that you would like to talk about, please leave them in the comment section, and God willing, we will address them. Peace.